So in this tutorial, we'll be using two key resources for manual API testing. The first is Postman, which is a tool which allows us to send API requests and view the responses. And you can get it for free by going to postman.com and clicking the download button. We'll also be using an API service called JSONPlaceholder. This is a service which allows us to make requests to example data and view the responses. So for example, they have various endpoints, for example the posts endpoint where you can view information about posts. And it also contains documentation on the different types of requests that are supported. So for example, a GET request for all posts, a GET request for a specific post, comments associated with a post. It's also got a post request so you can create a new post, put and patch requests so that you can update a specific post, and also a delete request so that you can delete a post. And we'll be using these endpoints to make requests in Postman and view the responses. So once you've installed Postman and you've launched it, you should get a UI that looks a bit like this. And what we can do first of all is go to the Collections tab and create a new collection. And we'll call this collection JSON Placeholder Testing. Click the Create button, and within this we can then add API requests. So we'll go ahead and add an API request, and we'll say get all posts and save that. So within Postman, we're able to create API requests and view the responses for them. So the first thing to do is select the type of request you want to make. As you can see, Postman provides a list of API requests that are supported, and the 5 main types are GET, POST, PUT, PATCH, and DELETE. So in this example, we're going to go through the GET request, and a base URL must also be provided in order to send a request. So the base URL for JSON placeholder is as follows: jasonplaceholder.typicode.com. And you can see also Postman supports various other things that you can send as part of your API request. So for example, query parameters, any authorization, any specific headers, a body in case you're making a post request, for example, or an update which requires us to send a body. And it also has other support for scripting and tests. So in order to make our first request to JSON placeholder, we need to provide an endpoint in addition to the base URL. So in this example, we will cover the posts endpoint. And then to send a request, we simply click the send button. And as we can see, a list of posts is returned from JSON placeholder. You can see here, for example, post 1, post 2, and so on. And each post contains a user ID for the user who created the post, the ID for this specific post, a title, and a body. And Postman has automatically made this look very nice and organized, but if you wanted, you could see how it's returned raw and various other formats. Postman also provides additional information on the response, so we can look at the status code, make sure that's as expected, or if this was a negative test, we could make sure we see an error response. It also provides information on the time it took to receive the response. Again, this can be used in testing to make sure all requests are being received within a certain time frame. And we also have information on the size of the response. So we can use this tool in order to send API requests and view the response, and make sure that our APIs are working and the data being received is correct. So we could extend this further using JSON placeholder by adding a query parameter. For example, we could add user ID and then a value of 2. Oops, sorry. So if we look through these posts, a lot of these are for user ID 1. Okay, we can see here the first user ID 2, the title begins with ET. Okay, and the ID is 11 actually, that's more unique. So if we were to send a request to the post endpoint with a query parameter of user ID 2, we would expect all the posts created by user ID 2 to be returned and nothing for user ID 1 or any other number. So if we try this and we click send, as we can see, the API is returning only the post for user ID 2. So in this way we can use Postman to conduct API testing, but for that we would need the base URL and documentation about the various types of requests supported.